This video is brought to you by Patreon. By signing up on the Phat Pack Magic Patreon, you get early access to all content, as well as grab bags of valuable cards and amazing mats exclusive to patrons. You can help keep coverage for Paper Magic alive by showing your support on the Phat Pack Magic Patreon today. Hello guys, and welcome back to Phat Pack Magic. We're here at Darkside Games for their FNM Pioneer event, and it's round 3. On the left, we've got Andrew Matthews playing Golgari Midrange, and on the right is Zachary Sommer, and you've seen him play Lotus Field before, and he's on Mono Black Aggro. Now Zach is going to be on the play, and Andrew is going to be down a card. Zach comes out swinging with the Dread Wanderer. Now it's going to be really tough for a mid-range deck to play against this aggro, especially with recursion from these 1-drops, because it's going to be hell on Andrew to get out that removal and keep up with card advantage. Zach swings in with the Dread, bringing Andrew down to 18, and follows it up with a Blood-Soaked Champion. 4 power on board for Zachary, and Andrew is on pressure right now. Tapping out 1 to play Traverse the Uvenwald is going to fix his mana a little bit, and he's grabbing a swamp before passing the turn back to Zach. Now Zach has a Mutavault, and here comes Castle Lochwain, one of the amazing cards for Mono Black Aggro, allowing Zach to draw cards and eventually get out from underneath, spending his creatures. And a Thoughtseize is going to come in, bringing Zach down to 18, and it's going to take a Tireless Tracker out of Andrew's hand, and look at all those lands. Feels like he's got a really mana-heavy hand here, and Zach smells blood in the water and crashes in for 6 damage, animating the Mutavault to bring Andrew down to 12. Andrew plays his land for turn. It's a Field of Ruin, but it may not be enough because Zach is not done unleashing his threats. He animates Mutavault, swings in for 6 again. A Field of Ruin is going to kill off that Mutavault and bring another land into play for Andrew. But Andrew has a Fatal Push, being able to maximize his mana and pushing that Dread Wanderer out of the way. One of the weaker recursions for Mono Black Aggro. It can't reanimate until Zachary has only 1 card in hand, and it costs 3 mana to do so. It still reanimates, but it's a much higher cost. So the Blood-Soaked Champion gets in there for 2 damage, and Zachary deploys another Dread Wanderer. Andrew in a really tight pinch here. While Zachary's only down to 2 cards, Andrew can't deploy many threats because Zachary has removal in hand that he hasn't really needed to spend. So here comes a Tireless Tracker. A land is going to make a clue token, but 2 mana to pop a clue token against aggro decks is a lot. It is a lot, especially when an ultimate price is going to come in, blowing out that Tireless Tracker, as Andrew, pretty sure he knew that was coming. Zachary takes his turn, crashes in for 4, bringing Andrew down to 6, while Zachary is pretty content to just kind of hang back and chill. And man, Andrew is having a really rough time here. 2 mana to pop a clue token first, draws a card, and he needs some kind of threat that can't be hit easily with the removal that Zachary has in hand. End of turn, Zachary is going to draw a card with Castle Lochwain, and that 1 card is going to cost him 3 life. But it's not a big deal when he's on the advantage here. Zachary crashing in again, 4 damage. And Andrew's got tricks. Looks like it's a Grasp of Darkness killing off that Jackal. And Andrew is only going to take 2 damage here, going down to 4. But Zachary's got more follow-ups. That Castle Lochwain just really doing the work as he deploys a Knight of the Even Legion. Andrew could really use a Planeswalker here, something to make creatures or something to start getting those creatures out of the way. But he's going to fish for a Thoughtseize, revealing 2 Murderous Riders, taking 2 life and going down to 2. And that means that anything on Zachary's side of the board right now is lethal, and he needs 2 pieces of removal to combat it. But he doesn't have it, and that is going to be a Game 1 win going to Zachary. Now, while they sideboard, we're going to skip ahead a little bit and go on to Game 2. And here we are on Game 2. Andrew is going to be down a card due to a mulligan, and mid-range against aggro is really tough because the main 60 has to be able to deal with aggro, it has to be able to deal with mid-range, and it has to be able to deal with control. Whereas Mono Black is able to kind of go for a more linear aspect. So I think a lot of cards that Andrew cited out were cards like Thoughtseize, which were going to be able to hit creatures that just weren't going to be able to do enough against Zach. The 2 life and not really gaining an advantage there. Both players play their land, return, and pass, and Andrew looks like he's okay for now. He's got a Fabled Passage and passes the turn back to Zach. Zach didn't have his 1-drop on that turn, so here's a Blood-Soaked Champion as Andrew takes a breather and grabs another land with a Fabled Passage at end of turn. Now, Andrew's Golgari Midrange deck is really interesting to me. I don't feel like we got to I don't think we got to see its full potential in the previous game, so I'm really excited to see what he can pull out right now. And it seems to be another land and pass. Feels like Andrew is playing more of a control game, trying to prevent himself from really exposing himself to any kind of danger. The Grasp of Darkness feels really aggressive there as it kills off the Blood-Soaked Champion, and Andrew gets the turn back, with Zachary not deploying any other threats. Andrew plays out a Tireless Tracker and a land to grab a clue token, and end of turn, Zachary is going to use that Murderous Rider to nuke the Tireless Tracker from orbit. Zachary deploys a really juicy Kalidas right there. It's a 3-4, but it's going to really affect the game state here. The clue token being popped from Andrew draws him a card, another land, but it might be the land he's looking for. And a Grasp of Darkness, another one, sends the Kalidas to the yard before Kalidas can really get anything going. Zachary hitting his land drops, which might be okay, but I think he also wants to just start deploying more threats. 4 mana, and Andrew reveals his own Kalidas, which, beautiful foiling too. I have my own foil Kalidas in my vintage cube, and it looks gorgeous, and I'm just looking at it on camera right now. It's so beautiful. So Zachary takes his turn. I was distracted by Kalidas. So Zachary starts taking his turn, and here's a Gifted Aetherborn and a Knight of the Eben Legion, and he passes the turn back to Andrew. This is really interesting. So Andrew's up to 6 mana, but he's going to use that Field of Ruin to kill off the Castle Lochthwain. And I think one of the cards I saw in his hand was a Dark Petition. That's really strange, especially for Golgari Midrange. I mean, I usually see Dark Petition in combo-based decks. Not really used to seeing it in a mid-range deck. But here's a Ritual of Soot, killing off Zachary's team, and apparently killing Zachary off the board as well. Zachary is going to have a hard time dealing with a Kalidas and 3 zombie tokens, so he's going to scoop it up, and Game 2 is going to go to Andrew, tying the score at 1-1, and we are going to see a Game 3 right now. And here we are on Game 3 of the semifinals. The winner of this game is going to take the match and go on to the final round, where we've got juicy store credit in store for them. Over $70 of store credit is going to go to first, and just under $50 is going to go to second. So Zachary is going to start off, and here's the turn 1 play he loves, Knight of the Eben Legion, before passing back to Andrew. Andrew starts off his turn with the Scryland, decides to keep it on top, and pass the turn back to Zachary. Zachary is just going to crash in for only 1 damage here, bringing Andrew down to 19. And he's going to follow up his play with a Scrap Heap Scrounger, with a possible juicy chunk of damage coming in for the next turn. Scrap Heap Scrounger and then possible pump from the Knight, except looks like Zachary didn't find a land. The Grasp of Darkness is going to ruin that plan though, and Andrew is only going to take 1 damage, going down to 18. Zachary playing out a Gifted Aetherborn. He's got Urborg, so that Mutavault can tap for black mana as well. And it's a shame that Zachary missed a land drop. He really wanted that. He's got a Thoughtseize in hand as well, so he needed to deploy more threats and start disrupting Andrew's game plan. Looks like he's contemplating on using that Mutavault, except it's going to be for a Thoughtseize. Andrew looks looks like in response, here's an Abrupt Decay, killing off that Gifted Aetherborn and revealing its hand. And there is a Dark Petition. That's really interesting. Zachary's going to shoot off the Vraska, preventing it from killing the Knight of the Even Legion on the following turn, and giving Zachary a clear way through damage for the next couple of turns until maybe Andrew can get a Garruk in the field. So 1 damage is going to bring Andrew down to 17, and Andrew, being very kind and playing with his hand open, plays his land for turn and passes back. Zachary finally hitting that 3rd land drop. He's got a hand clutch full of spells and removal, but he might want to start getting in a little bit more damage. Andrew doing the bluff check, showing us that he has a land, and Zachary decides to pump the Knight, and it's going to deal 4 damage to Andrew, bringing him down to 13 and putting a counter on that Knight. And end of turn, the Field of Ruin is going to bust up that Mutavault and fetch out a land for Andrew. Now, I guess he could have taken the Urborg, but the Urborg isn't going to do much against Zachary, who's pretty much mono black, but fixing Andrew's mana is pretty good as well. It's a nice little side effect, even though he's got all of his colors online. Andrew plays his land for turn and uses that Dark Petition, and it's going to search his library for a card, and because he's got Spell Mastery, it's going to add 3 black mana to his mana pool. And he's going to fetch up a Murderous Rider, which is going to blow out that Knight of the Even Legion, dealing 2 damage to Andrew in the process. But it's going to draw him a card that's a 2/3 lifelinker, which might be able to start blocking duty here in the next turn or so. But Andrew does have access to that Garruk and the land to play it on curve. And this is what you want to see in the mid-range. You want to be able to get to that Planeswalker and start generating value, and Garruk does just that by making 2 wolf tokens. But Zachary's got the answer for it. It's a Noxious Grass that's going to kill the Garruk and gain Zachary a life. Here's the 4th land. I don't know if Zachary really needed it, but here comes Rankle, crashing in for 3 damage, bringing Andrew down to 8. And it looks like both players are going to start discarding cards. And that could be really dangerous for Andrew, because the wolves, they're not going to really do a lot more damage, but that Rankle being able to fly can really disrupt Andrew's game plan. So both players discard. Zachary gets the value by discarding a Scrap Heap Scrounger. And Andrew finds a Nissa Vastwood Seer with that critical 7th land. Well, he already had 7 lands, but he's going to be able to play another land and flip the Nissa this turn, which is going to be pretty good. I mean, he can start drawing off of it. So there's a Temple, and he's going to put that to the bottom and flip the Nissa into the Nissa Sage Animus. He's going to try and draw more cards. He's going to get a smaller dice for me. I really appreciate it when people use large dice on screen. Normally I have dice available, but those have not come in yet. So he's going to minus Nissa and make a 4/4 with Ashea, immediately gaining value. And he's going to start on the offensive, swinging in for 4 damage at Zachary, bringing him down to 15. And now here comes the Murderous Rider, hoping to gain back some of the life he spent killing off that Knight of the Even Legion. So Zachary could kill off the Nissa here, but I don't think he's too worried about that. Andrew's life total is a lot more vulnerable. And here he comes in at Andrew for 3 damage. This is going to bring him down to 5, but Rankle abilities are going to start going off. The question is, he could make each player draw a card, which is risky, and that would put Andrew in lethal range. So they both draw a card, and Zachary deploys a Rotting Regisaur, and Andrew is at a very vulnerable 4 life. He pluses Nissa, and that reveals, okay, Seasons Past. Now that is a big blast from the past for this deck. Okay, I had no idea this was in here. So he plays his land for turn and starts counting up available mana. And here comes Seasons Past. Wow. And that's basically going to almost redraw everything. Grasp of Darkness, Pulse of Marasa, Field of Ruin, Vraska, Dark Mastery, and Garrick. You know, I'll just draw like 6 cards, that's fine. And even though Zachary has Andrew at only 4 life, it looks like Andrew might come back in this game. The Grasp of Darkness killing off the Rankle, and the Season Pass going in the bottom. Andrew swings in for 2. Riding Register blocks it, but Andrew just really wanted the life. And he goes up to 6, a nice little buffer against a possible aggressive attack from Zachary. Because if Zachary drew a Rankle and he held back the Murderous Rider to block, then the Rankle would just kill him outright by making him draw a card. So Ultimate Price is going to kill off the Ashea. A Noxious Grasp is going to kill off the Nissa, and Zachary is crashing in for 10 damage. The 2 wolves block block both creatures, killing off the Scrap Heap and chumping the Rotting Regisaur. But now Andrew is going to start being able to get back in this game. And it looks like it's going to start with, I tap 6 for maybe Garrick? Nope. Here's 4. It's a Vraska, and she's going to kill that Rotting Regisaur. And a land, Field of Ruin, and pass the turn. Now Zachary, I mean, if he drew another Rankle, he might still be in this game, but it's a Castle Lockthwain. And Field of Ruin is going to kill off that castle, and in response, Zachary's going to draw a card. He loses 1 life in that exchange, but he can't not do it. He's still going to get a swamp. And that castle, normally the castle is great work, but unfortunately Zachary doesn't have a lot of ammunition to start recurring those creatures and really getting value out of them. And Andrew has just drawn so many cards from that Season's Past that a lot of the creatures just will die to the removal before Zachary can get an edge in there. So another Field of Ruin from Andrew as his land for turn. And Dark Petition is going to search his library. And it looks like Kalitas is what he's looking for, adding 3 black mana and just casting the Kalitas. And that is really not what you want to see if you're the Mono Black Aggro deck. Kalitas is so strong in that turning all of Andrew's removal into just dudes. And he sacrifices a land to the Vraska, gaining a life, but he's got that Kalitas, which is a nice, juicy creature. And it looks like Zachary's draw for turn is a Rankle. And he could swing in, it would deal some damage to Andrew, but I think the main thing he wants is to be able to get that Kalitas out of the way. Because he needs to get that damage through. Otherwise, Andrew's just going to be able to come back. But Andrew also has Pulse of Marasa in hand. So here comes Rankle. Crashes in for 3. Andrew says, okay, I'll take 3. He goes down to 4. Now Rankle abilities. Are they both going to draw and discard, or are they both going to discard? Oh, the Temptations! I think he's just going to go for the Sacrifice Outlet. Rankle's going to get exiled, and they're both going to draw a card. Andrew goes down to 3. However, that Rankle is going to remain exiled because Kalitas sees it, when it goes to the yard, and it's going to make a 2/2 zombie token. Zachary desperately deploys a Scrap Heap Scrounger in hopes of being able to get back in this game. But Andrew comes out with the Pulse of Marasa, and that's going to get him 6 life. And Zachary says, yeah, I can't beat a Kalitas a second time. And so the match win is going to go to Andrew Matthews piloting Golgari Midrange with Seasons Past. And it looks like Kalidas is just a juicy sideboard card that can really disrupt a game. But that's going to be it for us this time on Phat Pack Magic. Stay tuned because we got the final round coming in the next video, and that's going to be for some juicy cash here at Darkside Games for their FNM Pioneer event. So make sure you hit subscribe and tap that notification bell so you can find out when the next video comes out, and hit that like button. Not just for me, but for my players too. You can also check out exclusive behind the scenes stuff on Instagram, so if you're into like deck lists and that kind of stuff, check us out there. And if you like this content and you want to support it, check us out on Patreon. We have awesome tiers that give you free stuff like unstable basic lands signed by me, grab bags filled with awesome cards from my vintage cube, and exclusive playmats like these 2 Moxjet mats. Those are available only for the Phat Pack Magic patrons. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and may all your packs be fat.